In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to build the best $1,200 gaming PC that you can assemble right now. A build that's going to be awesome for 1440p gaming in all of the most popular titles, and a system that uses some really exciting hardware, including a super unique PC case and brand new B850 motherboard to deliver great performance at a great price. Let's do this. The first step when choosing the parts for any build is to look at the budget and try and divide this up in the most efficient way possible. You want to spend as much of the money as you can on the CPU and GPU without creating any other bottlenecks or compromises along the way, which brings me to this: the AMD Radeon RX 7800 XT and Ryzen 5 9600X. Starting off with the GPU, the 7800 XT remains one of the best value 1440p cards on the market right now. You get a pretty massive 16 gigabytes of video memory. That's the same as what you'll find on the RTX 5080. I mean, come on. And really good performance across the board. AMD FSR isn't quite as good as Nvidia DLSS yet, but it is catching up. And while ray tracing is not a strong point necessarily on this GPU, it's not something lots of you guys are interested in anyway. It pairs up perfectly with the Ryzen 5 9600X. This is currently my favorite chip when it comes to a mid-range gaming PC build, giving you more performance than not only the last gen 7600 and 7600X, but at a really competitive price point. I've seen this go as low as $225, and when combined with our GPU, uses around about 50% of the build budget today. One advantage of these new AMD CPUs is that we also now have new value-oriented AMD motherboards too. This particular board is Gigabyte's Eagle B850 Wi-Fi 6E. Now this board is currently available for as low as $170, but you can find latest pricing and availability for different regions at the links below. And for that, you're getting a lot of motherboard for your money. With PCI Generation 5 support on both the X16 main GPU slot, but also your top M.2 slot too. This has a heatsink cover included, which is going to really help keep any Gen 4 or Gen 5 drives cool, while 4 RAM DIMM slots gives you a good degree of upgradability as far as memory is concerned. And on the rear I.O., you're going to find a good helping of high-speed USB ports, and of course that Wi-Fi 6E. Briefly touching on RAM and storage, and I've got a 32GB kit of Corsair's Vengeance. This is actually a 6000 megahertz kit with a low cast latency. You want to be in and around the 32, maximum 36 region for your build. And because there's only 2 DIMMs in this kit, you do have some upgradability down the line as well. As far as storage is concerned, I've gone for the Crucial P3+. It's one of my favorite drives out there. It's Gen 4, it's affordable, and you can get it in a range of capacities. Just watch out, because once you get to around about 4 terabytes, it makes sense to pick up something like Lexar's NQ790 instead for less money. Again, I'll link all those options down below. I'm also going to talk about CPU cooling while I'm here. This is the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Halo Black. I actually think Cooler Master have really upped the ante with some of their budget-oriented coolers. This is going to cost you a little more than something like the Vetru V5 and just give you some slightly better performance and better aesthetics in the process. So that's all of our CPU, motherboard, GPU bits and pieces. Power supply, again, worth touching on at this stage. I've gone for Corsair's RM750E. Our 7800 XT is not a high-powered GPU as far as actual wattage is concerned, making this slightly overkill, but again gives us a little bit of headroom, and for the money there isn't really a lot that's any better than this in my opinion. Now there is one more component to talk about which I have not yet touched on, and this is where things could get a little interesting, because in today's build I've gone for something, well, it's actually quite unique. Now this right here is the Deepcool CH690 Digital. Now you won't have seen Deepcool products on the channel in a little while. Over here in Europe they're easy to get your hands on, but in the US there are some restrictions. So if you want to follow along and you can't pick this case up, something like the Fantex XT View is a really great, similar looking alternative. Now what's cool about this case isn't just the fact that the glass wraps around the front, the side, and even a little bit here at the rear for a truly see-through panoramic aesthetic, but the digital information screen which sits on the side bottom portion in front of where your power supply is going to live, giving us key system metrics like CPU and GPU temperatures. Now it is going to require a little bit of disassembly to get taken apart, so I'm going to pop the the toolless top panel off. Here you've got support for things like 360mm all-in-one radiators. And I'm then just going to remove the retaining screw. This is more for shipping, I believe, than anything else. That is then going to free up the pretty large tempered glass side panel. And I'm going to do the same at the back, just taking out this screw on the top as well for our rear panel. That should then make taking this off fairly easy too. And the build quality feels really, really nice. I've not actually seen a case do this. I think this is a trend that could really catch on. If someone else already has, let me know in the comments. I'd really love to know and check out any similar designs to this as well. I've also never seen a case where there's actually glass at the rear. Yes, it's going to sacrifice your back exhaust fan, but we should have plenty of fans to contend with, given the fact we can install some on top of the PSU shield, some on the side, and some on the top of the case. Airflow isn't going to be a problem. Now, before I can actually go ahead and build into the case, which I'm quite looking forward to, I need to go ahead and assemble the motherboard up. So I'm going to start by just taking off the very satisfying...
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Plastic peels, and then begin with the CPU installation. Simply line up the triangle on the processor with the triangle on the top left of the CPU socket, lift up the arm on the CPU socket itself, and drop the chip into place. Just be careful of the pins on the motherboard, and otherwise you're going to be good to go. Return the arm down, bit of pressure, and the plastic cover will pop off. Going to do the RAM or the memory next up. For this build, you'll be installing into the 2nd and 4th slots. That's going to give you that nice dual channel memory performance. And this AMD kit is specifically optimized for Expo, which should make things like RAM speed, overclocking nice and easy, and in theory, nice and stable. So with the Vengeance logo facing towards the motherboard power just here, you're going to push that in with a bit of pressure on each side. The final task then is going to be getting the M.2 drive installed into this slot. Just pull up the little toolless catch, take the cover off, and drop the drive into place. Secure the drive down, pop the cover back on, and that's all I need to do to get the storage and memory into place. CPU cooler is then going to be next. Going to get the Hyper 212 Halo Black, or at least the heatsink portion of it, installed onto the motherboard now, as that's going to be much easier than doing it later. So take the fan off, just so you've got your bare heatsink, and then grab the included bag of mounting hardware. Inside of here, there's some hardware for AMD to get that screwed down to the bottom of the cooler. Take the stock pre-installed plastic brackets off the motherboard just above and below the CPU, a dab of thermal paste before then securing the cooler down into the 4 screw thread locations on the motherboard's built-in backplate. Now that the motherboard assembly is complete, I can go ahead and pop this into the case. Now, in order to do this, you just need to check the standoff locations. And in this chassis, because it's an ATX case, this is an ATX board, we should be okay. You can see here there's 3 along the top, 3 along the middle, and 3 down the bottom, so they're all good to me, which means I can then slide the motherboard into place, just lining up the I/O shield through the rear and holding the board by the CPU cooler, which is nice and firmly attached. That is all lining up very, very well indeed, and the raised center standoff will hold it in place while I screw it down. Just 3 screws along the top, 3 along the middle, and 3 down the bottom. With the motherboard assembly in, the next stage of the build is to install all of the fans. There's a lot of fans. It's the fans section of the video. Now, in terms of fans, I've gone for these. These are the FR12s. They should match our case really quite nicely. And what's pretty clever about them, I think I had one earlier. Here we go. Here's one I prepared earlier, is they have an RGB ring around the middle, and then actually each of the edges also has RGB diffusion, which is really quite nice. A little similar, I kind of guess, to the Corsair RX lineup of fans, but obviously these are going to be quite a bit cheaper. Now, one thing that's very cool about this case, and you probably won't even be able to see it, is the fact that the fans can actually sit flush on the bottom. And there's a lip here that means when the tempered glass is on, you actually won't see the outside edge. That's again very clever. As far as locations, I'm going to pop 3 at the top in exhaust, 3 down the side in intake, 3 down the bottom in intake, and our CPU cooler fan back into place. That's looking a bit more like it. Now, I'm going to do the power supply next. I know the GPU can be quite tempting, but getting all the power and all the front panel done at this stage is the better bet. Now, for this build, there are a few power cables and stuff that I'm going to actually need to install. I'll pop some footage of these on your screen now, but basically you'll need a motherboard power cable, a CPU power cable, a SATA power cable. This is going to be for any sort of RGB hubs or controllers we might want to wire up, as well as a GPU power connector. In this build, it's the older style 6+2 pin format rather than the new Gen 5. I'm like taking the cables out and forgot to take the power supply out. James, come on, get with the picture. Keep your spare cables, especially your PCI Gen 5 high power cable for later, as you may need this when actually upgrading the build or swapping any of the parts out in future. Wire up the power supply with all of the appropriate cables, screw this into the back of the case, and then I'm going to plug in the CPU to the top left of the motherboard to the right hand side, and save a GPU power cable for later. While I'm here, I'm also going to pop in the front panel cables, so that's our USB 3 Type A and Type C, as well as our HD audio to the bottom left and JFP1 front panel cables to the bottom right. And with that all sorted, it's finally time for the GPU. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is the Gigabyte RX 7800 XT, and it's a card that just provides really solid 1440p gaming performance. This gaming OC model in particular is a really nice design, with 3 pretty large fans that are going to keep what is a very modest GPU really quite cool. If I hover this over the top PCI lane, you can see here that I need to remove the first and second slot covers. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out with a screwdriver before clicking the GPU in and adjusting the GPU support bracket accordingly. Get that secured down with the screws that you've just taken out, power it up, and there we have ourselves a pretty good looking gaming PC build. But how exactly does it perform? Let's take a moment and find out. As far as performance is concerned, this build stacks up really well, and you can see from the numbers on your screen, primarily tested at 1440p high with FSR 3 set to quality where available, apart from in Fortnite where we do test at 1080p competitive settings, that this build just holds up really well. To take a closer look into one or two of these titles, starting off with Call of Duty's Black Ops 6, the 7800 XT and Ryzen 5 combo do well with over 130 FPS at 1440p high. Alan Wake 2, a harder AAA title, does equally fantastically at 1440p, delivering just shy of 130 frames per second on average, while even a brand new title like Marvel's Rivals, which is proven hugely popular at the moment, at 1440p high settings, still broke through the 100 FPS barrier. In fact, all the games we tested on this build broke through 100 frames at 1440p, and do so while looking, in my opinion, pretty good. You can find latest pricing and availability for all the parts mentioned today at the affiliate links in the description below. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to get subscribed. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.